There are moments in a man's life that do not announce themselves loudly, yet they divide everything that comes after. This is one of them. You did not arrive here by accident, and you will not hear these words again in quite the same state of mind. Most men stumble past their turning point without recognizing it. They are looking for fireworks, for applause, for sudden certainty, but the true signal arrives quietly, often when a man is tired of drifting, weary of half results, and no longer willing to live beneath his capacity. Let me ask you something, and do not answer quickly. Have you noticed how the same ideas have been returning to you lately? The same questions, the same dissatisfaction, the same sense that something is about to align, even if you cannot yet name it. That repetition is not coincidence. It is preparation. Right before everything clicks, confusion increases, pressure tightens, old habits stop working, familiar comforts feel hollow. It is the mind's way of shedding an identity that can no longer carry what is coming next. Most men misread this stage and retreat. They think something is wrong. They assume they are failing. In truth, they are standing at the edge of comprehension. One insight, properly understood, can reorganize a lifetime of effort. This is why you are here now, not earlier, not later. You would not have heard this message before. Your mind was not yet disciplined enough to receive it. And if you had waited longer, you might have explained it away as mere motivation. There is a law at work just before great wealth appears in a man's life. It does not begin with money. It begins with clarity, a sudden, irreversible shift from wishing to knowing, from scattered effort to definite direction. The man who becomes a millionaire does not stumble into wealth unaware. He crosses an inner threshold first. His thinking changes, his standards rise, his tolerance for drift collapses. The world looks the same, but he no longer does. Notice what is happening to you as you listen. This is not excitement, it is recognition. Something inside you is lining up with something you already suspected, but never fully trusted. Many men will hear these words and move on unchanged. They were not meant for them. But for a few, this message lands at precisely the right moment, when the old explanations no longer satisfy and the new path is about to reveal itself. That is what a sign feels like. It does not shout, it resonates. In the moments before everything clicks, life removes distractions and brings you face to face with ideas you cannot ignore. It places you in front of the principle you must understand next, the decision you must make, the discipline you must accept. Do not rush, do not skim. Listen as though your future depends on what you grasp here, because it does. The difference between those who merely dream of wealth and those who claim it is often a single realization, properly acted upon. If you stay with this message, you will see why so many men were close to success and never knew it. You will understand why timing is not about clocks, but about readiness. And when it finally clicks, you will look back at this moment and recognize it for what it was. Not entertainment, not coincidence, but a quiet marker on the road to fortune. For some men, this is just another speech. For others, it is the sign they see right before everything changes. There comes a time in every man's journey when progress ceases to look like progress. The horizon appears unchanged. His efforts seem unanswered. He feels as though the very law he trusted has turned against him. Yet this, my friend, is not failure. It is the silent interval that separates growth from harvest. It is the unseen calibration of destiny, where infinite intelligence rearranges the pattern of your life so that it may support the weight of the fortune that approaches. Before every great advancement, there is confusion. Before every illumination, there is darkness. This is the law of transformation. The mind must be emptied of its former identity before it can receive the new. The man who mistakes this period of reorganization for defeat loses the very prize that was forming for him. Those who endure this stage with faith discover that what appeared as delay was, in truth, acceleration disguised. Think carefully on this. The seed must decay before the sprout can emerge. No man calls the buried seed a failure, yet most men declare defeat when their own progress goes underground. They do not see that life first hides what it intends to multiply. Every great success begins in obscurity. The roots of mastery form in silence, while the impatient dig up their future to check if it has grown. At the moment before change, life withdraws your comfort, your certainty, and your distraction. It narrows your focus to what matters most. This constriction feels like loss, but it is divine refinement. It is the law compressing you into definiteness. You cannot carry indecision into wealth. The universe, therefore, removes the unnecessary by force when it is not surrendered by choice. Frustration is often the final test before awareness. It is the mind's protest against its own expansion. When your present methods no longer work, rejoice. The law is signaling readiness for a new order of thinking. The same force that once guided your success now demands that you outgrow it. What once fit your life now becomes restrictive, not because it is wrong, but because you are being prepared for greater authority. Observe the pattern in all great men. Abraham Lincoln failed in business, lost elections, and faced ridicule beyond endurance. His patience seemed weakness to lesser men, yet within that silence, his conviction hardened. His defeat stripped away vanity, leaving only moral purpose. When power finally reached him, it found a man purified of ambition and anchored in principle. Without the furnace of failure, he would not have borne the weight of leadership. So it is with every man who rises. The path to wealth and influence is not paved with ease, but with correction. The universe corrects through contrast. It teaches through discomfort. The moment when you feel least certain is often the moment just before comprehension dawns. Doubt is the shadow of new understanding. It precedes clarity as night precedes dawn. The majority retreat when this pressure intensifies. They interpret resistance as rejection. They assume their efforts were misdirected and start again elsewhere. Each time they approach the threshold of transformation, they flee from it. Thus, they spend decades circling the same mountain of possibility, never realizing that the summit lay one more step through the storm. Infinite intelligence does not withhold success. It withholds premature success. It will not grant power to the divided, nor riches to the unready. Before you may receive increase, your inner order must match the magnitude of what you seek. This alignment cannot be forced. It must mature. And the only way maturity is produced is through trial. When you feel weary of mediocrity, when comfort disgusts you, when your soul craves direction stronger than approval, that is the sign that the law has begun its work. The very restlessness you condemn in yourself is proof that you are being summoned higher. Every desire for refinement is evidence of readiness. When the fire of dissatisfaction burns in the heart, it does not destroy, it purifies. Men speak often of inspiration, but seldom of exhaustion. Yet exhaustion is the truest indicator that the old way has completed its cycle. The body tires when the mind resists change. When you no longer find energy in what once fulfilled you, it is not laziness. It is life withdrawing permission from old patterns. You are being asked to ascend. The period before breakthrough is marked by contradiction. On the surface, you lose momentum. Beneath, you gain foundation. Outer results seem absent while inner order strengthens. The impatient curse this paradox. The wise endure it. They understand that the roots of every oak are invisible long before the branches rise. The unseen governs the seen. Stillness is not stagnation, it is the gathering of invisible power. The ocean pauses between waves, yet that pause is full of motion beneath. So too does your mind, when quiet, reorganize itself. Infinite intelligence cannot operate through noise. It whispers only into silence. If your life has grown quiet, if opportunities seem few, it is not abandonment. It is concentration. I have spoken with men on the verge of greatness who confessed they felt most lost just before success appeared. They described nights of doubt, mornings without enthusiasm, and days spent questioning everything. Yet, when they persisted through this strange emptiness, results came suddenly, as if the universe had been holding its breath, waiting for them to prove endurance. Thomas Edison endured thousands of failures before the electric light rewarded his faith. He did not interpret each failure as punishment, but as instruction. Every attempt refined his method. The moment of illumination was not random. It was the inevitable reward of persistence through confusion. Confusion, therefore, is not chaos. It is education. Learn to observe your own repetition. When the same ideas, the same goals, the same callings return to your thoughts uninvited, it is no longer coincidence. Infinite intelligence teaches by recurrence. What returns repeatedly is what must be obeyed. The man who dismisses recurring inspiration prolongs his delay. The one who heeds it shortens his journey by years. There is a spiritual physics to readiness. Energy must condense before it can express. Just as steam must become water before it freezes into form, so must your scattered desire condense into definite purpose before it becomes tangible success. That condensation often feels like pressure, because it is. The law is compressing your potential into form. Recognize the symptoms of arrival. They are not external victories, but internal shifts. Impatience with trivial matters, disgust for idle talk, withdrawal from meaningless company, a hunger for solitude, a deep respect for time. These are not signs of isolation. They are proofs of awakening. The soul withdrawing from distraction prepares for direction. The greatest deception of mediocrity is comfort. Comfort disguises itself as peace while secretly dulling ambition. The moment life begins to sharpen your discomfort, it is saving you. You are being rescued from slow decline. That pressure you resent today will become your gratitude tomorrow. Understand this. Infinite intelligence often removes what you cling to most before granting increase. It does so not out of cruelty, but out of protection. You cannot carry old attachments into new dimensions of power. Every loss is a clearing of space for expansion. The wise man does not mourn the pruning, he anticipates the harvest. The difference between those who rise and those who repeat lies in interpretation. The same experience that crushes one man strengthens another. Both endure delay, both encounter rejection, both feel doubt. The difference is that one calls it punishment and quits, while the other calls it preparation and continues. Law rewards the latter because law mirrors belief. You may test this truth in your own life. Recall the times you thought all progress had stopped. Later, you discovered those were the seasons when your character was being refined most. Success is never withheld. It is delayed until you can handle it. Life will not deliver what you will mishandle. Desire, once purified by hardship, becomes vision. When the thrill of ambition fades and only purpose remains, you are near your turning point. The man who still chases excitement is not ready for responsibility. But the one who has replaced emotion with decision is ready for fortune. The flame that burns hottest is not the wildest, it is the most controlled. Consider the moment before dawn principle. Just before the sun rises, darkness seems greatest. The air is still, the horizon unbroken, and men grow impatient. Then, without warning, light pierces the sky, revealing that dawn had been preparing all along. So it is with destiny. Your heaviest moments precede your highest. The pressure of darkness is proof that light is near. How then can you recognize when your breakthrough approaches? Look for these signs: increasing clarity about what no longer belongs in your life, exhaustion with superficial pursuits, sudden solitude, recurring thoughts urging reorganization. These are the whispers of infinite intelligence calling you to order. Withdraw for a time, not in despair, but in devotion. Enter solitude willingly. Write your thoughts each morning until the scattered noise within you becomes a single note of purpose. Study your repeated ideas as sacred signals. Observe which activities strengthen you and which drain you. Discard the latter ruthlessly. Law respects the disciplined. The greatest misinterpretation of silence is to call it emptiness. In truth, silence is full of formation. In that silence, new connections form in the unseen realm. Infinite intelligence arranges people, opportunities, and resources according to the clarity of your vibration. What appears as inactivity is coordination on your behalf. When a man ceases to panic in stillness, he has learned trust. Trust is faith matured. It is no longer noisy prayer or anxious striving. It is calm expectancy. The man who has reached this stage radiates peace even before results arrive. He knows law does not fail. His rest becomes creative magnetism. His calm becomes command. Repeat this to yourself. I recognize the signs of my turning point. I do not flee from pressure. I refine within it. I no longer mistake delay for denial. I am being prepared. Speak these words until they sink below intellect into conviction. The subconscious obeys repetition more than reasoning. Each day you affirm readiness. The universe advances your preparation. When the law is ready to elevate a man, it strips him of distraction. It calls him inward. It may take his comfort, his certainty, or his applause. To the untrained mind, this feels like punishment. But to the one who understands the pattern, it is proof of promotion. Those who recognize this pattern rise swiftly, for they no longer resist it. I have watched countless men wander for decades because they misread this law. They interpreted the pressure of transformation as rejection from life. They fled to lesser goals for relief, only to discover emptiness waiting there. Meanwhile, those who endured the storm emerged not merely successful, but serene. They discovered that peace and power are twins born of endurance. You stand, perhaps, in that very moment now, confused, fatigued, certain that effort has failed. But I tell you, you are nearer to clarity than ever before. The law has heard your desire and is preparing you to handle its fulfillment. Do not flee this silence. Sit within it until understanding rises from its depths. Infinite intelligence speaks to every man in symbols suited to his mind. For some, it speaks through repeated ideas. For others, through discomfort. For others still, through opportunity disguised as loss. Whatever form it takes, it always carries one message: prepare thyself. Recognize the message when it arrives, and you will save 10 years of repetition. When it finally clicks, when you see that your confusion was instruction, you will laugh at the years you called wasted. You will bless the obstacles that once angered you. You will understand that the law never opposed you. It trained you. You will feel the peace that comes from alignment. From that moment onward, you will move differently. Your voice will carry authority. Your eyes will see opportunity where others see risk. Your energy will attract cooperation instead of resistance. Others will call it luck, but you will know it was recognition, the first law of transformation. Do not wait for the external sign. You are the sign. The very awareness that you are standing on the threshold proves you have arrived at it. The key now is steadiness. Endure without complaint. Expect without anxiety. Act without hesitation. When next you feel uncertainty, whisper to yourself, this is not the end, it is the alignment. For indeed, this moment before it all clicks is sacred. It is not a mistake. It is your preparation for the wealth, power, and peace that await the man who understands law and obeys it. And when that understanding dawns, when confusion becomes clarity, you will realize what few ever discover, that nothing in your past was wasted. Every delay was design. Every silence was instruction. Every closed door was redirection toward the one that was meant for you all along. Look, there is a moment when a man ceases to wander, not because the world becomes clearer, but because his mind does. The fog of hesitation, that subtle poison which kills more dreams than failure ever could, finally lifts. And what remains is one idea, so strong, so certain, that all lesser possibilities dissolve before it. This moment is the birth of definiteness, and from it springs every fortune ever created. Men speak of luck, talent, or timing. They are deceived. The unseen cause of all achievement is definiteness of purpose. The universe itself moves in harmony with the definite. Stars follow fixed orbits. Seasons obey precise order. Even chaos, when observed closely, reveals pattern. Only man endowed with thought dares to live indefinitely and therefore suffers indefinitely. Life rewards decision and punishes drift. The drifter speaks many desires but obeys none. He reads, plans, and dreams endlessly, but his will is divided. Each day he plants a new seed and waters none long enough to grow. He wonders why his field remains barren, never realizing he has turned the soil too often for anything to take root. The man who decides, however, concentrates his power. His focus becomes heat, his effort becomes light, and nature herself bends to his order. You cannot possess what you have not first chosen. Decision is ownership in the unseen. Before any visible gain, there must be a settled claim within. The world does not answer to the man who tries. It answers to the one who declares, "It shall be so." For in that declaration, he establishes command over his own mind, and the mind governs everything else. Look about you and observe. Men of mediocre talent often rise above those of genius, not because they know more, but because they decided sooner. They did not wait for perfect conditions. They did not delay until they felt confident. They moved while others deliberated. Decision converts waiting into movement, movement into habit, and habit into mastery. It is the one act that turns invisible faith into visible form. Consider Edwin C. Barnes. When he first heard of Edison, he did not say, "I hope to work with him someday." He said, "I will be his partner." That single thought, once accepted by his subconscious, reorganized his life around its fulfillment. He had no money, no influence, no introduction, but he had definiteness, and definiteness has never yet been defeated by lack. Years passed before Edison even knew his name, but Barnes persisted. He labored in menial work near the great inventor's laboratory, content to serve so long as he remained within range of opportunity. When chance came, it found him ready. His declaration years earlier had already built the bridge between poverty and partnership. Infinite intelligence responds swiftly to the definite. Delay belongs only to the vague. How many men waste their power through divided attention? They chase multiple aims, all half believed in, none fully claimed. They live as wanderers among their own desires. Their will becomes dull from endless redirection. But the moment a man selects one purpose and burns all retreat, energy returns in torrents. Confusion collapses. Life simplifies into obedience to one law: forward. A mind cannot hold faith and doubt in equal measure. One must rule the other. Decision decides which. The man who finally says, "Enough, I will no longer live halfway," becomes magnetized. People, ideas, and opportunities begin moving toward him, drawn by the gravity of his conviction. Others call it coincidence. It is not. It is law. Infinite intelligence organizing around definiteness. You may have noticed that life tests a man's seriousness before promoting him. The test is distraction. The moment you set an aim, lesser opportunities appear in abundance. They glitter with safety, approval, and comfort. Their purpose is to expose your loyalty. Only when you reject them does the real opportunity reveal itself. Decision, therefore, is not merely saying yes to your purpose. It is saying no to everything else. The word maybe is the language of failure. It is a verbal fog that hides indecision behind politeness. Maybe has destroyed more potential than poverty ever did. Replace it with must. Every time you speak with uncertainty, you instruct your subconscious to remain passive. Every time you speak with decisiveness, you awaken its power. Words are commands to the unseen forces that shape your destiny. Choose them as a leader chooses orders. Carnegie once told me that his rise in the steel industry began not with opportunity, but with a single decision. While others debated which industry might prove most profitable, he fixed his mind upon steel and refused distraction. Competitors laughed. Experts predicted ruin. But he remained unwavering. His decision hardened into law, and law produces results. When the storms of industry came, the undecided fell first. Definiteness builds faith because it creates familiarity. The subconscious believes what it hears repeatedly. When you affirm your purpose daily, writing it, speaking it, acting upon it, it ceases to be a hope and becomes an identity. The man who repeats, "I am destined for success in this aim," long enough begins to act, speak, and decide accordingly. This is autosuggestion, the tool by which thought becomes flesh. Write your purpose, not as a wish, but as a decree. State it clearly, simply, and affirm it daily. Read it aloud each morning with emotion. Read it again each night before sleep. Let your imagination clothe it with feeling until you can see and touch it in your mind. The repetition will educate your subconscious far more deeply than study ever could. The world belongs to the man who knows what he wants and refuses distraction. Definite purpose filters reality. It selects useful information and discards the rest. The drifter drowns in options because he has no filter. The decided man sees only paths that lead to his end. This saves him decades of wandering. Every yes becomes strategic. Every no becomes liberation. Confidence is often misunderstood as arrogance. True confidence is simply clarity without apology. The decisive man does not boast, he declares. His calmness unnerves the uncertain, not because he is proud, but because he reminds them of their own hesitation. People follow him instinctively, for nature itself follows order. Translating purpose into action requires discipline. A definite aim must express itself in definite labor. Choose one measurable result for each week, one essential act each day. Do it without delay. Definite action reinforces definite thought, and together they build momentum. When decision governs your schedule, procrastination loses its voice. Remember this law. Every decision reorganizes unseen forces. When you decide this shall be done, the mind begins filtering, attracting, and arranging all resources needed. Delay is no longer delay. It is coordination. Faith is the ability to continue acting while the unseen organizes itself. The man who waits for evidence before deciding will wait forever. Burn the bridges behind indecision. Say to yourself, I have chosen. I do not retreat. Speak it until the subconscious accepts it as fact. You will notice a quiet power replacing anxiety. That is the peace of finality, the calm born of having no alternative but forward. Men envy this composure, but seldom understand its source. It is not luck, it is law. One clearly defined purpose outperforms 100 vague ambitions. A single torch lights the night, 1,000 scattered sparks fade without effect. The universe responds to concentration because concentration mirrors creation itself. The sun's rays, when scattered, merely warm. Focused through a lens, they ignite fire. So too must your purpose become a lens through which energy burns into form. Time must now be treated as currency. Every hour spent must advance your definite chief aim. To waste time is to insult the law that governs increase. The successful man measures his days not by comfort, but by contribution to his aim. He understands that mastery demands continuity. A purpose neglected even briefly loses momentum like a wheel left to rust. When you decide upon your aim, infinite intelligence begins to strengthen you through alignment. Challenges will arise, not to destroy, but to refine. Distraction will tempt you, not to punish, but to prove your focus. Each obstacle tests the sincerity of your choice. Welcome these trials. They are the furnace in which your will is tempered. Write this creed upon your mind. My aim is clear, my direction fixed, my success inevitable. Say it slowly, daily, until its rhythm replaces doubt. This affirmation will draw forth courage from your subconscious. It will remind you that decision already contains the energy of completion. Observe how nature honors definiteness. The river does not debate its path. It cuts through stone. The eagle does not question the wind. It adjusts its wings and ascends. The oak does not apologize for growing taller than the grass. Each obeys its law of purpose without confusion. Shall man, gifted with thought, be the only creature to drift? Decision is the hand that closes the gap between man and his maker. Infinite intelligence responds to definiteness because definiteness is its own language. Every creation began as a definite idea in the mind of the Creator. When you decide and act with conviction, you mirror that creative process. You become a co-laborer with law. Barnes, Ford, Carnegie, Rockefeller, each man, before fortune arrived, spoke one sentence that sealed his fate. Not I hope, not I wish, but I will. That simple declaration, once burned into the mind, magnetized the world around them. Fortune could not resist their definiteness any more than water can resist gravity. The difference between drifter and leader is one word: decide. The drifter's mind is an open field where weeds of doubt grow unchecked. The leader's mind is a cultivated garden, fenced by decision, tended by discipline, and fertilized by faith. Both began with the same soil. Only one chose to plant intentionally. If you are weary of delay, weary of scattered effort, weary of results that fade as soon as they appear, it is time to choose what cannot fail. Not because failure is impossible by chance, but because failure is no longer permitted by decision. When you remove retreat, progress becomes natural. The mind, once committed, finds a way. In the quiet of your evening, write these words: I know what I want, and I am willing to pay the price in advance. Then speak it aloud. Feel the finality in it. Sense the peace that follows. That peace is faith taking root. You have just aligned yourself with the rhythm of creation. Do not seek permission. The world grants it only to those who have already acted. Do not ask for guarantees. Law is the only guarantee you need. Decide and continue deciding daily until decision becomes identity. When that happens, opportunity recognizes you instantly. It senses its rightful owner. When you finally choose one purpose and refuse distraction, people will begin to see something different in you. Your speech will slow, your eyes will sharpen, your presence will grow deliberate. Others will call it confidence, but it is simply alignment. They will trust your judgment, not because you explain, but because you exude certainty. This is the invisible authority of definiteness. The uncertain seek refuge in the presence of the decided. The weak borrow confidence from the strong. Soon life itself begins to cooperate with you. Events arrange themselves, assistance appears, and time seems to obey rather than oppose. Once this law is understood, hesitation will appear as the only true poverty. Every other limitation is temporary. The man who knows what he wants and moves toward it daily cannot be defeated, for even delay becomes instruction. Every setback becomes resource. Every obstacle becomes material. Repeat until conviction forms. I am no longer divided. I have chosen, and all life now moves to fulfill my choice. These words contain the seed of mastery. Say them when tired, when doubting, when uncertain. Soon you will notice that uncertainty flees. Doubt cannot breathe in the air of decision. You will save years, perhaps decades, by mastering this single law. The drifter spends half his life choosing and the other half regretting. The man of purpose chooses once and then spends life perfecting that choice. When you have decided, work ceases to feel heavy. Faith replaces strain. For now you are not hoping. It is already settled. Decision is the birthplace of peace, the foundation of confidence, the signal to infinite intelligence that you are ready for stewardship. Make it once, make it final, and you will witness the law's obedience. No man can build lasting fortune while divided within himself. The hand may labor, the tongue may speak. But if the heart hesitates, all motion becomes wasted energy. To think one thing, feel another, and do a third is the silent ruin of all ambition. The universe does not reward activity, it rewards harmony. When the mind, the emotion, and the action move as one, the law of compensation begins to operate with mathematical precision. You have seen men who work endlessly yet advance nowhere. They toil with visible effort, but something within them cancels their progress. They plan with intellect, but doubt with emotion. They act while secretly expecting defeat. And so, no matter how hard they labor, life reflects their contradiction. The seed of their work is divided, half faith, half fear, and nature multiplies both. Alignment begins not with action, but with inner government. You cannot control circumstances until you first control self. The mind must be the ruler, emotion the servant, and action the soldier that obeys both. When thought commands and emotion supports, action becomes powerful, steady, and accurate. But when emotion commands, thought loses clarity and action becomes erratic. The man who rules himself rules circumstance. He does not demand that the world be calm. He becomes calm and causes the world to respond. His composure is contagious. His certainty influences events as surely as wind shapes waves. While others flail against conditions, he directs energy from within. Infinite intelligence recognizes him as a conductor of its power because he imitates its order. To align your forces, begin with thought. Thought is the architect. It sketches the structure of your life. But thought alone cannot build. It requires emotion for vitality. Emotion is the heat that hardens the idea into belief. Without emotion, thought remains cold and lifeless. Yet emotion without control becomes wildfire. It burns opportunity instead of forging it. Therefore, balance is law. Intellect designs, emotion fuels, action completes. Edison once said he could feel ideas forming in his nerves before he could articulate them. His emotional faith in his work kept his mind supple through endless failure. Each night, when experiments failed, he refused to let discouragement take authority. His emotions obeyed his vision. Because of that inner harmony, he extracted light from darkness, literally and spiritually. The divided man destroys himself through inner argument. He prays for success while rehearsing defeat in imagination. He speaks of faith while expecting delay. He performs duties with half-hearted conviction. And so his results arrive half-formed, inconsistent, fleeting. The law does not respond to noise. It responds to unity. Begin each morning with a command of thought. I govern my mind. My feelings serve my aim. My actions express faith. Repeat until rhythm replaces doubt. If your emotion rebels, repeat again. The subconscious learns through repetition, not persuasion. Every time you assert control, you strengthen the inner hierarchy of power. Speech must align with vision. Words are not ornaments, they are forces. Each careless remark undermines belief. Each negative confession rewires the subconscious against you. Never say, I am trying. Say, I am doing. Never say, I hope it works. Say, it must work. Thought is the blueprint. Speech is the cement. Each word either reinforces or cracks the structure. Silence, too, is a form of alignment. When the mind is quiet, Infinite intelligence can communicate directly. The greatest men of industry often paused in solitude to listen, not to noise, but to intuition. Carnegie would withdraw from meetings to walk in silence, returning later with decisions that seemed prophetic. He trusted the still voice within, for he knew law speaks only to calm minds. To master alignment, observe your emotional climate. How quickly do you yield to irritation, fear, or doubt? Every such yielding divides your energy. Emotional discipline is the highest form of self-control. A calm man is never weak. He is charged with restrained power. Passion under command is more dangerous to failure than 10 armies of frantic effort. Rockefeller mastered this law early. During the financial panics that ruined empires, he walked through his offices serene as a priest. While others shouted and despaired, he planned. His calmness radiated through his men. Where panic froze them, his steadiness restored reason. It was said that he could make money during disaster because he never participated in the emotional collapse of the crowd. His inner order dictated his outer fortune. Faith and fear are incompatible tenets. Expel one, and the other moves in. You cannot build wealth while secretly fearing poverty. You cannot command cooperation while harboring resentment. The subconscious mind is literal. It will create the state it believes you desire. If you think of wealth but feel anxiety, it obeys the emotion, not the thought. Align the two, and the law has no choice but to obey. The daily ritual of alignment requires both intention and inspection. Each morning, speak your purpose aloud as a general reads orders before battle. Feel gratitude as you affirm it. Gratitude fuses faith with emotion. Each evening, review the day without self-condemnation. Observe where emotion rebelled or thought scattered. Correct without judgment. This practice refines your inner order until steadiness becomes natural. You will notice over time a transformation in how others respond to you. Your speech will slow. Your eyes will grow steadier. Your movements will carry purpose. People will begin deferring to your calmness. They will sense in you something they cannot name, authority born of self-command. You need not announce your faith. It will speak through presence. The man who has achieved alignment does not chase approval. He no longer seeks validation, for he lives by inner government. External opinion loses its tyranny. Praise cannot inflate him. Criticism cannot wound him. He has become immovable because his power no longer leaks through reaction. Infinite intelligence flows through him like current through wire, steady, silent, inevitable. Emotional control does not mean repression. It means direction. Anger, when harnessed, becomes determination. Fear, when examined, becomes caution. Desire, purified, becomes will. Every emotion is energy waiting for leadership. When the mind governs the heart, energy builds instead of bursts. This is why the aligned man seems to work effortlessly. His energy is never wasted on contradiction. Let your every word agree with your inner vision. If you aim for abundance, speak abundance. If you desire peace, speak peace. If you pursue mastery, speak with mastery. Words are the outposts of thought. They announce your inner order to the world. Align them, and the world responds in kind. When misfortune strikes, the untrained cry out for explanation. The trained observe, correct, and proceed. They do not allow temporary confusion to overthrow inner order. Remember Rockefeller. During crisis, his silence was wealth. Lincoln, too, faced the division of a nation, yet ruled his temper as he ruled armies. His patience preserved the Union. His composure was his weapon. Gratitude is the final seal of alignment. A grateful man cannot be anxious. Gratitude affirms trust in law. It declares, all that happens serves my purpose. This state magnetizes further blessing. Infinite intelligence increases what is recognized. Thank even the delay, for delay proves preparation. Each morning you awake aligned, time bends to your favor. Tasks complete themselves swiftly, coincidences multiply. You find yourself in the right place at the right moment. This is not magic, it is synchronization. You have adjusted your internal rhythm to match the universal rhythm. Alignment cannot coexist with contradiction. Guilt, envy, and fear are fractures in the structure of faith. Remove them through conscious choice. Guilt dissolves through service. Envy dissolves through admiration. Fear dissolves through action. Each day you repair one fracture, your power increases. The man who has mastered inner order carries visible peace. He speaks less, but means more. He listens without anxiety. His words land like hammer strikes, precise and deliberate. The undecided envy him. The uncertain seek his counsel. They cannot explain why his presence steadies them. It is because he has united the conflicting elements they still battle. Infinite intelligence communicates only through such harmonized instruments. It does not speak through noise, haste, or tension. It requires equilibrium. When you quiet fear and purify intent, intuition arrives. Ideas come complete, not in fragments. Guidance appears naturally. Decisions require less struggle because they arise from the higher order of law, not the lower chaos of emotion. Do not mistake stillness for inaction. The most powerful motion begins in silence. The archer pauses before release. The wave gathers before breaking. When you cultivate inner calm, your outer strikes gain precision. Rash action betrays division. Purposeful action confirms unity. The world calls this charisma, but charisma is simply confidence expressed through harmony. The leader who walks into a room and quiets confusion does so because his own confusion has been conquered. People feel safe in the presence of inner order. They will follow the man who radiates it even before they understand why. Practice mental fasting. Each day abstain from worry as you would from poison. Withdraw energy from useless speculation. Replace every negative impulse with a constructive command. You will find that fatigue disappears. Inner harmony generates vitality. The body, like the mind, thrives on order. Repeat this affirmation until it becomes a natural rhythm of thought. My thoughts, feelings, and actions move in one direction. Feel its truth as you speak it. Imagine the gears of your nature locking into perfect motion. Each thought feeding emotion, each emotion powering action, each action reinforcing thought. This is alignment in operation. Internal contradiction wastes years of progress. A man may labor for decades, yet if he alternates between faith and doubt, progress resets each time. He moves one step forward, one back, mistaking movement for advancement. The aligned man advances steadily, his energy compounded by continuity. 10 years of divided effort accomplish what 1 year of unity could have achieved. Stillness is not retreat. It is mastery. It is the deliberate pause between thought and action where law speaks. The man who acts without this pause acts from impulse. The man who pauses acts from intelligence. The pause aligns his will with infinite intelligence, ensuring his next move is exact. You will save 10 years of struggle by mastering this single law. The drifter changes external plans 100 times. The aligned man corrects internal discord once, and all plans follow suit. The drifter argues with circumstances. The aligned man adjusts vibration. Outer results change automatically. The man who once felt scattered now feels whole. His speech, posture, and gaze all communicate certainty. People will notice it first before he does. They will say, "You seem different." Indeed, he is. He has ceased to be a collection of impulses and become a single directed force. From that moment, nothing external can truly oppose him. Failure becomes redirection, delay becomes preparation, criticism becomes refinement. He interprets all events through harmony, for harmony defines him. He has achieved mastery, not over others, but over himself. Speak this quietly tonight before you sleep. I am one mind, one emotion, one motion. My inner order governs my outer world. Say it until your nerves calm, your breathing slows, and faith fills the silence. When you wake, repeat it again. In time, you will no longer need to remind yourself. You will simply live it. When thought, emotion, and action move as one, life ceases to resist. You will find that what you seek begins seeking you. Plans unfold without force. People assist without being asked. Opportunities emerge from directions you could not have calculated. The law is simple. Unity attracts unity. The secret is not in doing more. It is in doing less in greater agreement. Align within, and the universe aligns without. There is a rhythm to all achievement, a law that rewards consistent, definite action sustained by unwavering belief. Time itself bends around conviction. To most men, success appears slow because their faith flickers. They believe, then doubt, then believe again. They plant, uproot, and replant the same seed. Law cannot bless inconsistency. But once faith becomes constant, once the inner conviction remains fixed regardless of appearances, results accelerate as though time itself were compressed. Faith is not blind trust. It is directed understanding of cause and effect. When a man unites his thought, emotion, and effort under one belief, he creates continuity of vibration. Continuity is the secret of speed. Imagine a wheel turning, each spoke representing a day's effort. If the wheel halts every hour, progress resets. But if it turns without interruption, momentum carries it faster with each revolution. The same law governs the mind. Most men destroy their own rhythm. They work faithfully for a week, then succumb to discouragement. Each doubt acts as friction, slowing the wheel. Each complaint becomes sand in the mechanism of progress. They cannot see that the delay they blame on circumstances was born within them. The wise never interrupt faith. They let law perform its quiet acceleration. You must understand this principle deeply. Belief is cumulative. Its power multiplies with repetition. Each day of continued confidence doubles the potency of yesterday's thought. Each refusal to doubt compounds like interest. Eventually, the accumulated energy crosses a threshold. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. That is why some men toil for years with little to show, then suddenly everything unfolds at once. The world calls it luck. It is law, matured. R.U. Darby's uncle discovered this truth too late. He dug for gold, struck a vein, and stopped 3 feet short of fortune when resistance appeared. He sold the machinery to a junk dealer who, guided by a mining engineer, found the gold exactly where persistence had been abandoned. Later, Darby used that lesson to build his insurance empire. He learned that quitting restarts time, while persistence compounds it. Every effort, even the ones that seem wasted, adds to the invisible bank of momentum. When faith is maintained, no action is lost. Infinite intelligence records every motion of belief. But when doubt interrupts, the account resets. You must remain steadfast long enough for accumulation to reach manifestation. The bamboo teaches this law perfectly. For years after planting, there is no visible growth. The farmer waters and waits, mocked by those who see no progress. Then suddenly, within weeks, the bamboo shoots upward, growing feet in a single day. Did the miracle happen overnight? No. It was occurring underground all along. The root system was expanding, storing power, until release became irresistible. So it is with your purpose. When nothing seems to happen, everything is happening. Beneath the surface, the law is gathering energy, rearranging people, preparing opportunity. Impatience interrupts the process. Faith completes it. The man who keeps working, speaking, and expecting as though results already exist shortens the distance between cause and effect. He is obeying the law of acceleration. Henry Ford understood this law better than any man of his age. Ridiculed, sued, and opposed by powerful interests, he persisted in his dream of the affordable motor car. His engineers declared the V8 engine impossible. "Build it anyway," he said. They tried and failed. He repeated his command until, by sheer faith translated into action, the impossible became mechanical fact. Faith compressed years of experimentation into a single discovery because his belief never paused. Faith is not static emotion. It is movement without hesitation. It transforms waiting into gestation. It allows the mind to occupy the result before the body achieves it. When you think, speak, and act as if success is already complete, your nervous system organizes around that truth. Your decisions become sharper, your endurance longer, your presence more convincing. The world begins to mirror your inner certainty. Time obeys conviction because conviction eliminates waste. The doubtful man spends half his hours in reconsideration, adjusting plans, seeking reassurance. The decided man acts. His focus multiplies productivity. A week of his work equals a month of ordinary effort. He does not measure by clock, but by completeness. He finishes what he begins. And completion, repeated daily, collapses years into months. Understand the physics of faith. Energy follows attention. The more steadily you apply it, the denser it becomes. Repetition condenses thought into form. That is why you must speak your purpose aloud each day, not as empty ritual, but as concentration of force. Every repetition is a stroke of the hammer forging reality. Stop swinging, and the metal cools. Persist, and it bends. Patience is not waiting idly. It is sustained obedience to rhythm. The man of faith works as steadily on the 1,000th day as on the first. He knows that the law cannot fail. The law may delay to test endurance, but it cannot deny. He wastes no energy asking when. He focuses only on how. And because of that focus, when arrives sooner than logic predicts. The invisible curve of progress fools the impatient. Results accumulate slowly at first, then exponentially. The final leap appears sudden, but it is built upon unseen increments. Look at the craftsman shaping marble. Each strike seems meaningless until, all at once, the statue appears. Did the last strike create it? No. It released what 10,000 strikes had prepared. So it is with every breakthrough. Failure, to the wise, is not a verdict, but a signal. It indicates adjustment, not abandonment. The universe corrects course through temporary defeat. Each obstacle refines method and strengthens will. The one who interprets defeat as delay continues. The one who calls it final restarts his learning. Persistence converts resistance into direction. The rhythm of belief must extend to daily routine. Every morning, act as though your enterprise is destined to succeed. Dress, speak, and labor from that premise. Each detail performed in faith aligns invisible cooperation. When fatigue tempts you to abandon structure, remind yourself, routine is proof of belief. Chaos is proof of doubt. Ford built the assembly line not for machinery's sake, but to establish rhythm. Each worker, each motion, synchronized into continuous flow. Productivity multiplied because hesitation vanished. Likewise, the man who builds rhythm in his life becomes unstoppable. His habits run ahead of doubt, carrying him forward even on weary days. Adversity refines timing, it trims waste, purifies motive, and reveals endurance. The pressure you feel when progress slows is proof that expansion is near. Law condenses before breakthrough, just as air tightens before a storm. Hold your ground. The greatest mistake is to relax faith when acceleration is imminent. When discouragement visits, remember Darby's uncle. Visualize yourself 3 feet from gold. Remind yourself that quitting restarts the clock, while perseverance compounds every effort already made. Say aloud, each effort compounds. Each day brings increase. These words are not sentiment. They are mathematical precision. Faith multiplies labor. Doubt divides it. Infinite intelligence measures readiness not by words, but by consistency. A man who maintains belief under pressure proves mastery. Each test shortens the distance to fulfillment. When life seems to stretch the journey, it is removing friction from the path ahead. What feels like waiting is, in truth, preparation. The principle of trust is the essence of acceleration. To trust is to stop measuring time by appearances. The farmer does not dig up seed to check progress. He waters daily, confident that growth obeys law. The same law governs success. It cannot sprout on your schedule, only on its own. Your duty is not timing, it is tending. Beware the temptation to change goals too early. Each change resets progress to zero. The soil must be faithful to one seed. Stay with your purpose until it either blooms or proves false through natural law. The impatient abandon good fields because weeds appear. The wise remove weeds and continue. Decision must outlast difficulty. Small acts, repeated with faith, multiply faster than sporadic leaps. A single deliberate hour daily outperforms a week of frantic labor followed by exhaustion. Power is born of rhythm, not intensity. The law of compounding favors continuity. Every day you persist, you shorten the journey. The most dangerous illusion is that you have more time. You do not. Time rewards the prepared, not the hesitant. Yet here lies the mercy of law. Once you align belief with action, lost time is reclaimed. Opportunities once missed reappear in improved form. Life condenses the reward of 10 scattered years into one season of decisiveness. Observe nature. The sun does not rush, yet it accomplishes everything. Its consistency governs all growth. The river does not strain, yet it wears away stone. Faithful rhythm is stronger than frantic speed. When your effort flows steadily in alignment with law, obstacles dissolve quietly. Do not confuse rest with quitting. True rest is rhythm's counterpart. It renews energy to sustain continuity. The body and mind require alternation, effort and repose. But rest taken in faith multiplies strength. Rest taken in doubt erodes it. Always rest as a king after conquest, never as a deserter seeking escape. Infinite intelligence blesses faith under motion. The man who waits for confidence before acting will never begin. Confidence comes after proof. Proof comes after action. Action comes after decision. Therefore, start before certainty. Certainty is produced by movement through fear, not before it. The man who persists long enough witnesses compounding in every domain. Ideas begin attracting other ideas. Opportunities cluster. Allies appear, reputation grows. Success becomes self-feeding. Law rewards continuity by removing resistance. Once acceleration begins, maintain humility. Pride interrupts rhythm as surely as doubt. Trust the invisible. Even when no applause greets your labor, even when circumstances contradict belief, continue. The law never forgets an act performed in faith. Energy invested faithfully must return multiplied. This is not speculation. It is universal accounting. The ledger of infinite intelligence balances perfectly. Remember, the rhythm you sustain today will determine the speed of your harvest tomorrow. The drifter looks for shortcuts. The builder follows order. When you work daily in harmony with belief, you enter the compounding curve where time itself bends. Effort that once seemed slow suddenly leaps ahead. Years of struggle crystallize into sudden opportunity. You will awaken one morning and realize that what once required strain now happens naturally. Contacts appear without searching. Solutions form without analysis. The tide of life begins carrying you forward instead of resisting you. That moment is the sign that law has accepted your rhythm. You are now accelerated. Continue saying each morning, I am patient but relentless. I trust the law of increase. Each act brings me closer. These words will keep faith alive while results ripen. Patience is the stillness of power under control. Relentlessness is faith translated into endurance. Together they command the miracle of acceleration. Hold this conviction in your heart. No effort aligned with purpose is ever wasted. The longer you persist, the faster results accumulate. The law of compounding is exact. It owes you nothing until you have earned rhythm. But once earned, it pays with abundance. You are now no longer bound by time. You have entered its higher law, where belief shortens distance and effort multiplies in silence. There comes a moment when a man ceases to chase success and begins to live as it. The struggle that once consumed him gives way to stillness. The outer world, which he spent years attempting to control, now obeys him without resistance. This is the law of fulfillment, the final stage of creation, where what was once an aim becomes identity, and identity shapes destiny without strain. Fulfillment is not the arrival of fortune. It is the recognition that fortune has always obeyed order. All that you sought was never outside of you. It awaited alignment. Once the man becomes definite, aligned, and faithful, life simply mirrors him. The law of compensation has no choice but to return to him the equivalent of what he has become. This is not miracle. It is mathematics of the spirit. Wealth is not granted. It is attracted by fitness. And fitness in this law means readiness of character. The world gives riches to the man who can command them without being commanded by them. It entrusts influence to the man who can wield power without arrogance. It offers peace to the man who has learned self-government. These are the signs of fulfillment. Success achieved without inner mastery is short-lived, for it was built upon imbalance. Temporary riches crumble when the man behind them remains divided, but success that grows from understanding law endures because its foundation is harmony. The wise man does not merely own wealth, he stewards it. He knows that possession is responsibility in disguise. Andrew Carnegie once told me that the greatest satisfaction of his fortune was not ownership, but usefulness. He understood the law of return, that giving multiplies what is already secure. Riches, he said, find safety only in service. His philanthropy was not charity, it was continuation of order. He saw himself as a channel of infinite intelligence, distributing wealth through purpose. That is fulfillment. When you begin to live by this same recognition, your conduct changes quietly. You no longer rush or justify. You move with calm precision. Your speech grows measured. Your decisions become deliberate. You carry within you the authority of one who has already arrived. Others sense it, though you never announce it. They defer to your steadiness because your energy no longer pleads, it commands. The outer world now bends to your rhythm because you are no longer reactive. The man of fulfillment does not seek constant proof. His peace is proof. He does not demand applause. His results speak silently. He knows that to govern oneself fully is to govern circumstance indirectly, for circumstance is but the shadow cast by one's internal order. Character becomes the guardian of prosperity. The higher your position, the more invisible discipline is required. Without it, influence intoxicates and power collapses. The man who maintains humility under praise remains immune to corruption. Infinite intelligence cannot increase arrogance. It resists it as naturally as gravity resists flight without lift. Observe Abraham Lincoln in the hour of triumph. When victory came and power was absolute, he answered insult with forgiveness. His restraint preserved his greatness. Fulfillment, therefore, is not indulgence, it is temperance. It is the quiet strength to act from principle when emotion tempts revenge. The fulfilled man's gratitude anchors him. Gratitude is the recognition that law never failed him, even when it disguised itself as delay. He thanks both ease and adversity, for both serve the same end, refinement. Gratitude stabilizes the vibration of success. It keeps prosperity flowing because it acknowledges its source. Ingratitude interrupts flow as rust corrodes iron. Each morning reflect with calm acknowledgement, all that I have is law fulfilled. All that I am becoming is law continuing. Let these words remove restlessness, for even after great attainment, the undisciplined mind hungers for more, not out of purpose, but of habit. Gratitude dissolves this hunger by replacing desire with appreciation. To maintain alignment after success, one must remain a student. The danger of triumph is pride, the illusion that law has been conquered instead of obeyed. But law serves only the obedient. The moment a man imagines himself greater than principle, he loses protection. Humility is not self-denial. It is continued awareness of order. Look again at Rockefeller in his later years. When questioned about his composure amid immense wealth, he replied, "I merely organize what God's law entrusts to me." This consciousness preserved his empire through panics and crises. He understood that fulfillment is stewardship, not ownership. The more a man releases the illusion of control, the more completely the law works through him. When fulfillment dawns, peace replaces ambition. You no longer chase because you no longer feel separate from what you pursue. Desire gives birth to intention. Intention matures into decision, and decision becomes being. When being and doing unite, wealth follows as shadow follows substance. The man has become cause, not effect. The fulfilled man does not measure wealth in coin alone. His true riches are command of thought, mastery of time, and harmony with self. Money becomes one expression of order, not its meaning. He remains industrious, but without anxiety, generous without extravagance, calm amid movement. He has learned that peace, not applause, is the ultimate evidence of success. Infinite intelligence uses the fulfilled man as its example. People feel at rest in his presence. They draw courage from his silence, clarity from his speech. His influence multiplies not by demand, but by resonance. He does not persuade, he embodies. The greatest teacher is the one whose life instructs without words. Service becomes his instinct. He builds, not merely for profit, but for perpetuity. His enterprises reflect his order. He treats employees as partners in progress. He pays more than required, for he understands that prosperity is mutual. Every act of fairness strengthens his fortune because it increases the vibration of trust. When you reach this state, the world begins to treat you differently. Strangers cooperate without knowing why. Competitors respect you despite rivalry. Even adversity softens in your presence. You have become an anchor of calm in a storming age. People say you bring luck, but luck is only the name men give to law they do not understand. Be warned, fulfillment is not stagnation. The fulfilled man continues expanding, not through striving, but through unfolding. His growth is no longer reaction to lack. It is expression of abundance. He builds because creation is his nature, not because ambition drives him. This distinction marks maturity of purpose. Maintain quiet living. Stillness amid abundance protects equilibrium. The more wealth multiplies, the more silence you must cultivate. Every added influence must be balanced by greater inward order. Think of a tree. The higher it grows, the deeper its roots must reach. Without depth, height becomes peril. So it is with fortune and character. Give as proof of mastery, not as show of generosity. Give privately, deliberately, where it multiplies purpose. Each act of giving declares to infinite intelligence, I have more than enough. Law echoes that declaration by increasing supply. The stingy man confesses lack. The generous man confirms abundance. Repeat this affirmation as you close each day. I live as the cause, not the effect. I give as proof of abundance. These words secure rhythm between gain and gratitude. The cause-minded man no longer asks for success. He expects it as natural outcome of order. Expectation has replaced ambition. Serenity has replaced striving. Understand that every attainment has been the reflection of your inner stature. The world did not change. It mirrored the man you became. Fulfillment is recognition of this mirror. When you grasp that reality, all struggle ends. You no longer attempt to force results. You cultivate self. Knowing results will follow. This is the essence of mastery. The successful man's greatest triumph is not what he possesses, but what he has become in possessing it. His wealth cannot be stolen, for its source is within. His influence cannot be diminished, for it flows from character, not from title. At this stage, time itself feels altered. Hours no longer drag nor rush, they serve. Each moment becomes sacred because it contains purpose. Work turns to worship. Rest becomes meditation. You are no longer fighting law. You are breathing in rhythm with it. As you continue this path, people will begin to recognize something unspoken in you. They may not call it fulfillment. They may call it composure, wisdom, or grace, but they will feel it. Your words will carry weight beyond volume. Your decisions will calm disorder around you. You will have become the rarest of men, one who has found peace while in motion. The law of return ensures that what you share multiplies. Each act of service, each gesture of goodwill, each contribution to another's progress expands your own. You cannot outgive law. The man who blesses others multiplies his own blessing. This is not sentiment, it is structure. What you cause in another, you reinforce in yourself. You will reach a point where struggle feels foreign. You will wake with calm expectancy, not anxious striving. You will measure progress by peace, not by applause. Those around you will begin to organize themselves naturally under your influence, for leadership by example is irresistible. When infinite intelligence entrusts you with responsibility, treat it as sacred stewardship. Handle wealth, authority, and influence with reverence. The moment you regard them as personal property, law reminds you they were loaned, not owned. Maintain humility. It keeps channels open. In your quiet moments, remember those years when everything felt uncertain. Reflect on how confusion became clarity, delay became design, and failure became foundation. Gratitude for the past cements peace in the present. You will realize that nothing was wasted, not a single hardship, not a single tear. Every step was guided by law toward this fulfillment. Speak softly now to yourself. I have become the man to whom success belongs. Feel the gravity of that truth. You no longer need to prove or persuade. You are living evidence. The journey that began with desire ends in being. The fortune that seemed distant now moves effortlessly around you. This is not the end of ambition, but the transformation of it. The striving has matured into stewardship. The hunger has become harmony. You have not merely gained riches, you have gained order. And order is the true fortune of the soul. From this point, teach by demonstration. Let your peace instruct those who still struggle. Speak only when words can lift others into understanding. The world has enough noise. It needs examples of quiet mastery. You are to be that example. When your mind remains calm under pressure, when your decisions remain just under provocation, when your generosity remains pure under praise, then you will know you have truly fulfilled the law. And those who watch you will say you are fortunate. They will not know the truth that fortune itself obeys the man who obeys law.